Ho, ho, ho! This is the last live broadcast that we're doing before Christmas, probably of the year, and I have with me Mrs. Claus.
Hi there. I'm not ready with the gifts yet, but I'm ready to hang with you tonight, our time. Maybe this morning, your time. So, welcome to the live stream, everyone.
And normally we have a very, beforehand, I have a lot of topics I would like to discuss, but tonight I'm just gonna, wing it. I don't really have anything prepared. So go ahead and leave your questions in the room and we'll answer your questions. I don't have anything planned tonight like I normally do. It's because Vladimir Putin and Russia hacked my topics that I want to talk about. So he threw the kibosh in it. So it's all his fault. When in doubt, blame Russia, my friends.
What?
At least that's what I'm learning to do. So so I was very busy this week.
Tell them what you did this week.
I had a very busy week. Actually, the last upload that we did was a live broadcast too, and it's kind of weird to do. Normally, we've been live broadcasting once a week, usually on the weekends, because I find it's good for you guys since this is more long form content. And you guys tend to be around a little bit easier. The time works out since most of you are watching this in North America. I see we have some people joining us here in the Philippines. So, but we've been very busy. I couldn't upload any vlogs, any videos where I answer your questions, like about dating and that kind of thing, because we were taping a TV show this week and it's working long hours. And even when I have a day off, usually I try and relax a little and then try and learn I go through it and kind of rehearse and learn my lines for the next day of taping. So, but
Well,
what show did we shoot?
Travis did Pepito Manaloto. He is actually, it's a very interesting episode because it features that one character, and that's you. It's all about your character actually in the show.
It's all about me, actually, the
Yeah,
episode.
it's called Ang Bagong Kapitbahay,
The,
meaning the
the
new
new neighborhood.
neighbor.
And who's the new neighbor?
Him.
It's me.
Yeah.
What?
So it's an acting job for him, but of course, what's good is that even if he had to prepare for the acting job and all that, he still does his best. We still did our best to vlog, the stuff we do and to share it with you.
Yeah, I'll probably release this one right before it comes out. I don't want to give away too many
Yeah.
spoilers. It's kind of funny. I'm in almost, it seems like almost every scene. When we got the script, I couldn't believe it. It's like, man, I'm in almost every scene. This is going to be really a lot of work. Uh, Michael V is the star. If it's funny because he has a bunch of shows on. He's a GMA star. And we were driving by someplace last night and a TV was
Mm.
on. And I saw a guy with sunglasses on. And I was thinking, I can't tell if that's Kim Jong Un or Michael V. And I asked you, who would that be? And you said, well, this time right now, Bubble Gang would be on. So it must be Michael V. And I said, well, I guess that makes sense since we're in the Philippines. But it's funny how I couldn't tell the difference between him and the leader of North Korea when he had the sunglasses on. But I've worked with Michael V at least two other times before. The last time was on Bubble Gang when I appeared on an episode of Bubble Gang. That was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Probably 3 years ago now. I don't even know how long. It's a long time ago. But also in 2010, I worked with him on a show called Hole in the Wall, which is like based off a Japanese game show, and we did a little comedy skit with him and Ogie El Cassid, who's another Filipino star, and they throw me in the swimming pool with the contestants. That was really a lot of fun. That was way back in 2010, though.
Yeah, they threw you into the pool, and all these other
All
cute
these
girls
girls
were
in
also in the
yeah,
pool.
yeah, that
So
was.
it
I have
was,
some photos from that and some
you were
video
the
too.
thorn among the roses in the pool.
That was a lot of
Yeah.
fun. But Michael V, like when I saw him on the first day of shooting, was As soon as I walked in and he saw me, he was so super nice to me, which
Right.
is, it's kind of interesting because of course this is a sitcom. Would you call it a
Yeah.
sitcom? It's a,
It's a sitcom. The original
it's not really like
concept was more like a reality. si- It's like
it's
a
not,
reality
well, I'll say
comedy
this, it's
thing.
not really like in America, when Americans think of sitcom, this is a lot more kind of outrageous in a way, a lot bigger, I guess you could say, because it's Asian style. It's not like the American, no. It's not like watching Happy Days or something like that, where the humor is much more subtle. This is more the
It's just
humor that they'll
different
bang you over the
culture.
head with it. Yeah,
It's
it's
just
Asian
different
style. It's
culture.
kind of more typical Asian culture, but it's been, this show's been on the air a very long time, but it was really an interesting experience, and everyone was so nice. And like I said, coming into a show like this, what I was going to say is they work together every week, and they've many of them have been on this show, especially the couple main people. They've been on this show, worked
Mm-hmm.
with directors and crew members for such a long time. It's almost like you're walking into someone's family,
Mm-hmm.
as the new guy. Plus, I'm in practically every scene of this episode, and that can be a little weird, but everyone was nice. I'm nice, so everything went really smoothly, especially after we started shooting scenes and we really started to get really comfortable with each other.
Everyone on the set, from the production staff, the crew,
Oh
and the
yeah.
cast, everyone was really nice, accommodating, and they really seemed to like you, Travis.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
like it was, they're definitely, since they work together so much like that and so closely every week, there is maybe a little bit more of a family vibe amongst all of them. And when you got to be around people that often, when you have to spend that much time with other people, you might as well try and get along with each other.
of
But
course,
and then it's hard when a new person comes in like a guest star or something, and it takes you don't have the same familiarity with each
yeah, because
other.
they also already have like their own family tradition or some sort of culture, in the show, and the people involved in it who, they have been working for a long time. And what I actually like about that show, even though I don't get to watch it regularly, is
Our
it's
TV broke for a while too,
yeah,
and we just got one
it's
fixed.
it's it's a comedy show, and what's good about it is there are segments in it where the main lead actor shares some lesson, moral lesson, or just like what values of giving. I mean, important values in life and all these other
There's a moral
lessons.
lesson to it.
Yes, and that actually reminds me about that one favorite show we watched, an American show, where for me I really learned a lot
What
from
show
it.
is that?
Last Man Standing, and of course
Where he
Home.
kind of teaches through
Yes,
his vlog.
yes, yes, that's true.
He
And
teaches life lesson. He does a vlog. Tim Allen is the star of the show. If you haven't seen it, it's actually a very popular show from what I hear.
mhm,
But he does on Home Improvement. He had his own TV show, but this is more modern, so he vlogs and he does life
yeah,
lessons through his vlog.
yeah, yeah, and it's so funny. It's nothing. It's not so serious. It's a laugh. It's a laugh. You find it funny, but there's substance. You really get something from it. It's not just mere entertainment. You get inspired. You're reminded about being good, being nice, and just having that good attitude in life. Oh, you know what? Something that I really like when you were taping the show was you didn't hear this because I was taking behind the scene footage um, to the two actors whom you were
Shooting a scene
shooting a
with it.
scene with. They were talking to each other, and I overheard them saying like, "Oh, it's so impressive that Travis is able to memorize all these lines easily, and he can really deliver
They weren't
the
really in
lines."
English. They were in Filipino. You got
Yeah,
to state that too. It's not
exactly,
my first language.
and
It's
he
not
can he
English.
can deliver the lines in an excellent manner. Like you act well, and considering that the lines are in Filipino, So, I mean, I was not able to react to anything. I just overheard them talking because I was busy taking the behind the scenes footage. So, kudos to you. Good job.
What actors were talking about
Yeah,
this?
I was referring
Two of the
to,
stars of the show.
yes, Jesse Saragosa and Nova Villa. That's how we say it in the Philippines. Nova
Yeah, I
Villa
think they were.
and Jesse Saragosa.
Yeah, I don't. It's people ask me this sometimes. How hard is it to learn your lines? Well, I understand if you're not an actor, it doing something like that extremely difficult if you don't have experience or training and you haven't done it. I mean, learning a script and learning lines is very hard for people that haven't done it and aren't experienced. And but I've been an actor now for a long time, and learning how I it doesn't take me long to learn lines for a scene. You if it's in English, maybe only 5 minutes. If it's in Filipino, it's actually much more difficult because sometimes there's words I've never even seen or heard before, and some words are very hard for me to pronounce, of course.
Yes.
So doing it in Filipino, it does take longer to learn, and then I worry a little bit about messing up because some words are just not natural for native English speakers
Yes.
to say in this language.
Yes.
So that does take longer, but uh, yeah, like I learning it, it's like day one of acting school, at least for me. I mean, when I my first acting class I took in Los Angeles, actually, that I mean, I learned to memorize lines really easily. And so I mean it doesn't take me long, but I can see how like people that aren't professional actors would be like, oh man, how do you do that, how do you learn those, like because for them it'd be like next to impossible to do if you don't have the training and the experience.
And speaking of acting, it does not only involve memorizing your lines because even with a speech, dramatic monologue, an rhetorical piece for oration or anything like that, it doesn't stop at just memorizing the lines. You have to be able to deliver them in a way that you will really be able to convey your message clearly and will really bring, give that impact or bring in that impact on the audience, whatever you're trying to make them feel, think, or know about it. And with acting, I think I would really say, even if Travis is my super beloved, he really did a great job because it's really challenging. Say, for example, if I
She's a pretty
act,
good actor too, even though she worked in television for about a decade. She worked behind the scenes, but she's actually a pretty good actor and she knows a lot about acting.
well, I have a theater background in high school and college. I was very active in theater. I was more active in acting in high school and more into the production side,
And I didn't do
like
any of that
like
stuff in high
stage
school.
management, promotion marketing, and all these other things backstage for the production uh, part the of the job for theater. So I am very aware and I know a lot about these things. So from my perspective, from what I know about acting and all that, and from my experience from working on TV and all that stuff, I would really say you did a great job, even though, you know, acting acting and delivering your lines, which
That
the
aren't in
language,
English.
that's
Like I
not
said,
your
this is
first
not my first
language,
language. I haven't
and
actually even heard Filipino spoken
and
for a
you did
while.
not grow up with Filipino speaking Filipino around you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it was really a challenge, I would say, because if I would act and my lines are in, say, for example, French, I mean, like, oh my God, how would I do that? I really have to train well. I mean, but French, of course, is not an easy language, that's for sure. So that's really challenging. So congratulations for that, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you do more of these jobs next year. You've been doing we've been doing acting jobs already, like this year and the past years. But more to come by God's grace.
I've
So,
acted since I think around 2003, 2004, roughly. Maybe around
and
2004 I started getting
you
in the
started
United
acting
States.
in America, and
Yeah.
then you also do acting here. Especially that one movie you starred in, which people really love, and they whenever I see people who saw the movie or even
And we
those who
saw a
missed it,
movie that was
they
fairly
really love
similar
it.
last night on TV. We watched the movie on TV, My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2,
Oh
and
yeah.
I was saying it's very similar to the movie that I starred in here called Turkey Man I Pabo Rid. It's about cultural differences and people getting married and kind of a blended family in that regard. But I thought My Big Fat Greek Wedding too. You liked it. When I watched it, I thought it was really stupid, and I was like, this is like a movie that Filipinos would
I
make. It was
know.
like so Filipino,
I
even though I
know.
don't even know that there was no Filipino
It's like
actors or directors. They were
the
supposed to be Greek.
the humor, like the humor, the comedy in it. It's something that Filipinos would appreciate. Filipinos would it would make Filipinos laugh.
I thought it
So
was like almost unwatchable.
what I think because
I don't want to
the
trash someone
story
else's art though.
the story featured a family who has the strong ties, and they're like a big family, and yeah, but of course it's an exaggeration of whatever culture they have, right? So because when they have that scene where the granddaughter moved to New York for college, right? And she was talking to her dorm mate, and then after that shot on her and a friend talking, you'd see the shot of the big family of hers, like just waiting there, like they really had to go with her to New York and say bye bye, and like wow, that's like for Filipinos when a Filipino goes to another country, it's common to see her family, like her entire family, to be there at the airport to say bye. Or if a Filipino comes back to the Philippines when they arrive at the airport, it's common to see the entire family of the Filipino meeting her or him at the airport. So that was like something that I could relate to.
And I don't want to be so self-absorbed that we just talk about me and my wonderful acting. So I know these guys are anxious for us to
We
address their
were just trying to
comments.
share what we did this week actually. So that was it. And well, you guys, what did you do this week? It's already weekend. This is the last weekend before Christmas. So
And our last broadcast before
I know
Christmas.
I'm sure you guys have already did your Christmas shopping and all that because for us we already did. We're not yet done actually, but we'll see how we can. I think we're done with it almost, but we'll see what's gonna happen in the coming days.
So we have Mark Ritz joining us from the Philippines. Nathaniel Lawless, thank you guys for joining us. Someone says their girlfriend is missing.
What?
I hope that's not true.
Is it
Someone
serious
else says,
or
help! Well,
server
I don't know what you
protocol?
need help with.
Trinity Cyberlink Hard
James
Director.
Brophy says, hail adventure. Thank you for that. Hey guys from Australia, 2:30 a.m. here, mate.
All
Well, good day
right.
there, mate.
Chuck
No.
Fallon, thank you for
So
joining
thank
us
you
as
for joining us
well.
from Australia. Uh, I was talking to, yeah, I seem to have a lot of viewers from Australia, and so maybe in my future, maybe I'll make it down under one of these days, and I think they'd be lovely. So thank you for joining us all the way from Australia, even though it's even later for you than it is for us.
Yeah. We also have
Chuck
Ruby
found.
Anthony Ricafort. Yeah, we said
Okay.
hi to Chuck Fallon too.
Robbie Anthony Ricafort says, so you're a Filipino.
Me,
No.
yes.
Oh, I'm not a Filipino. I have
Him, no.
my my status says permanent resident uh, legally for this country, so I'm permanent resident, but I'm not a full out citizen. It's almost impossible for men to become a citizen. Almost impossible for males, apparently, from what I heard a lawyer say. but I am full resident legal status. I'm or permanent resident, I think is what they call it. Uh, but I'm an American, obviously. So, how important, this is from Mark Ritz, how important in socializing for your work in showbiz do you feel pressure to be going out with showbiz people to clubs, for example, just to improve your relationships? That's a great question, Mark. A book could almost be written about this subject, but it's very important. However, I don't really do that anymore. I've done that a lot in my life, and I spent a lot. It's amazing too because the bottom line is you got to do everything you can do if you really want something. I don't necessarily want it as bad as I used to. I don't really care as much. I like to do my own thing. But I use in LA, especially like going out trying to meet people, and I can't tell you how many times I could talk for probably an hour. I'll try and do it quick on this subject matter, but great question. I remember so many times going out to clubs and parties and stuff in LA, and you meet all these people in the lot. You learn pretty quick, especially like if you're young and good looking. There'll be so many people who say, I'm a producer, I'm a director, and they're just blowing smoke up you. And you learn pretty quick that the people in your life that are actually going to do something for you, they don't tell you they're going to do something for you. They just do it. The people that will never do something for you are people that say, "Oh yeah, I'm working on this series for HBO. Yeah, I got some." These that keep talking about something. I can't tell it. So anytime someone talks big, I don't even believe them. I mean, I don't take them seriously, and because the people that are really going to do something for you, they just do it. They don't talk a lot about it. And it's funny because when I got that offer to star in a movie here in the Philippines, the director wrote me through Facebook actually, and he said, "Oh, I'm doing this movie, and you'd be perfect for it." And I didn't take him seriously. I just kind of laughed and I thought he's another weirdo, probably, or some small time person that wants to be big time. And I just, I forwarded all the information to you. Oh, this sounds really cool. And then he sent over a script which showed he's more serious. They had a finished, polished script. And I refused to read it actually because I didn't believe that it was going to happen. I'm like, well, I've gotten scripts too, and most of the time that stuff never happens. Imabelle read the script and she said, "Oh my God, this is an amazing script. You have to do this movie." And I'm like, "There's not going to be any movie like this. This guy's some weirdo. Like I get hit up all the time like this." And when I had, this is my confession, when we showed up to the cast reading the read through when they got the whole cast together to meet for the first time, and we sit around a table and we read the script out loud. It was kind of weird because that was actually my first time reading the script. I never bothered reading the script because I did not believe for a second that there was any movie that was going to happen, that I was going to star in. And even when I showed up the first day of shooting, the first morning of shooting, I didn't think that I didn't think that it was going to happen even then. I thought if I did show up, it would be like some, really crappy equipment, really amateurish. So I still had no confidence, no faith. But when we pulled up to the set on the taxi and they had actual like big film crew trucks and all this equipment, I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm making a real movie here." So that's kind of what it didn't sink in until then. Like I didn't till we showed up on set the first morning, and I saw that they had a legitimate film crew and big film crew trucks, and it was like totally legit. I'm like, I thought it was gonna just be like, if anything, an amateurish piece of crap, which is not the best attitude to walk into things, but my experience taught me one thing. So hopefully that answers your question, but basically we don't go out and do that much. Maybe we should do that some more. I kind of lost graces in a lot of the social circles, of course, in Los Angeles. I mean, lost graces just because I quit doing it. I can't tell you how many times I spent going out at night, staying out all night at some club or some party, and most of it's wasted time, but you got to try everything, and sometimes you just meet the right person and your life changes, especially in a city like LA. But I'll tell you a quick funny story. my first time going to a Hollywood party, like this is like maybe my first or second month in Los Angeles. I go to my first Hollywood party, and when I'm at the party, I didn't know anyone. I showed up by myself. Actually, I put on like I dressed nice, and then I showed up, and there's all these kind of typical Hollywood types there. And I saw some older lady, like kind of middle aged, looking over at me, smiling, and kind of not in a flirtatious way or anything, just kind of friendly. And I thought, oh, there's a friendly face. I just this is the first person I need to kind of get comfortable. This person seems friendly. I go up to her and talk to her, and then maybe I'll feel comfortable talking to more people at this party and approaching more people. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not the outgoing type. I'm more of a shy person by nature. That's the thing I think I love most about Imabelle. She's very good at talking to people, and she's not shy. She doesn't have any fear of people that she doesn't know. She'll just talk to people like nothing. I'm the opposite of that. But I walk up to this middle-aged lady that was giving me a friendly smile, and I say, "Hello, I'm Travis." And she goes, I'm Kirsten Dunst's mom." And I'm like, "Okay, is that how they do things at this?" This is what I was thinking on the inside. Is that how they do things at these Hollywood parties? Am I supposed to bring my mom here and walk around and say, "I'm Travis Kraft's mom," and just announce it to people? But she said that's how she introduced herself. I don't even know that she said her name. I don't think she told me what her name is. When I said, "Hi, I'm Travis," she said, "Hi, I'm Kirsten Dunst's mom." And I was like, "Okay, like how does one react to that?" It was so bizarre. And I talked to her for a while. She was kind of nice, but I guess she kind of was trying to hook up with some other guy that was like an older guy there. I think he was one of the producers on one of the Lethal Weapon movies, and I ended up talking to him later, and he was kind of telling me about, but he wasn't into her. Yeah, the guy's like a big time Hollywood producer. He's not going to go after some middle aged mom of an actress. So, he's probably going to be getting the typical hot young girls that want to be actresses, or, I don't know what. I'm judging him without knowing him, all based off of stereotypes, and maybe that's not fair. But I talked to him, and he was super nice, this producer dude. And I said, oh, like, he was telling me about her, and I said, oh, I went and I met her earlier. I talked to her. And he goes, oh, God, did she tell you who her daughter is? And I said, yeah, in the first second within meeting her. And he laughed about that. I'm not trying to make Kirsten Dunst's mom
That
look
was
bad.
a
It's just a
pickup
funny story.
line.
But so, but that's my story. Hopefully that answers your question. I probably shouldn't take too much time on that, even though it's a great question. James Ruffy says, have you thought about doing a radio show, Travis, with Imabelle, of course, because a lot of the time people just listen without watching the video. Well, that's actually what I think of when I run these. I want to run it like a radio talk show. When I'm in the car driving around LA, I don't listen to music generally. I listen to talk radio. And I've been fascinated by talk radio for years now, especially in Los Angeles. You spend a lot of time in your car. So I'm a big fan of talk radio. I love how it keeps you company, especially when you're in the car alone, as I often am driving around. It keeps you company and it just entertains you. And unlike music, where it seems like on the radio, they play the same few songs over and over forever, decades after decade, with talk radio, it's always a new subject. They're always talking about something else that's always fresh. And Imabelle, actually, you used to host a radio show.
Yes, and I love doing radio. That's something that I really miss a lot. And up to now, I still think about doing it again or doing it in another format, in another way. So, yeah, radio is like my first love, I would say. Or, yeah, that and theater, I guess.
You,
And hosting, of course. Those are like what I'm passionate about. Hosting events, hosting a radio show, because as long as I see people entertained, inspired, and enjoying what I do, that makes me happy.
yeah, it's amazing because I'm very much a visual artist and I really appreciate visuals. I love music videos because of the visuals, even though I don't necessarily like the music associated with them. I could still like the video, but I also just kind of really had a love for talk radio, and it's really a different beast. It's talk radio is like one of my favorite things in the world, I think.
Right.
So let's see. Let's go to the next question.
I'm not sure if we're already able to say hi to the first one who left the comment. World Traveler, thank you for joining us.
Um, I don't know how to pronounce your name, your at least your first name, but Zhang, Mr. Zhang, I will call you. Sorry that I don't know how to say your first name. In my opinion, you and your wife should raise a baby in the future. Uh, well, I think you have a good opinion. And be careful what you wish for. That's all I'll say for now.
Well, thank you for that, anyways.
Dan coming in from Idaho,
Idaho.
where it's 5 degrees
And what's that
below
in
in Fahrenheit, he
Celsius?
says.
Is it
Good thing you
negative?
pointed out that's in Fahrenheit, because then she knows it's different. It's
Would be negative?
it's quite a bit below negative.
Wow.
It's 0 degrees is the freezing point, of course, in Celsius. In Fahrenheit, it's 32 degrees. But
Wow.
but there's one temperature that's the same in both Celsius and Fahrenheit, and that is negative 40. Negative 40 is the same in both Fahrenheit and Celsius.
Really, I didn't know that.
So, uh,
That's something that you couldn't survive in, I guess.
here's a question, especially since we've been trying to be very Christmassy. Do you feel jolly attending Filipino dawn masses or simbang gabi before Christmas?
You never
Do we feel
experienced that.
jolly doing that? No, because we don't do that.
Thank you, Wafrap, for that question. I used to do that, um, but since I became a Christian, born again Christian, I don't go to the dawn masses anymore. But to answer your question, when I was doing that, that was actually yes, I felt jolly, if that's what you're asking about. But I that was more about a spiritual thing to me. But if you go there with friends, that's also another thing. I think that makes it more fun. Do you go to dawn masses? Perhaps you do because you asked the question. Oh, by the way, it's good that this time of the year, which they already hold the dawn masses, we call it Simbang Gabi in the Philippines. We don't get awakened by the loud blasting of music from the church. Unlike, last year we couldn't really sleep because we'd hear all this loud music from the church before they start the Simbang Gabi or dawn mass.
Thank God that we moved and we don't have to deal with that. But we actually moved. I think we talked about this before. We moved because of the construction. I had that one video that was somewhat popular, like where we showed what we did on my birthday. And in the beginning of the video, in the beginning of the vlog, I show looking out my window all that construction. It's still going on. They actually told us that that was going to be going on for 3 years because they're building the mall all the way up to like right outside the window of where we live basically.
Yeah.
It's not just the mall, it's a call center and I think
A
something else. A
hotel, I
hotel
think.
too, yeah.
We call it North Tower or
So it's
something
all
like
that stuff and it was gonna go on for 3 years, they said, and it was gonna go up like right up to like where our window was almost. So I mean, even now it's still so loud, so we had to move and we're in a very quiet place, at least most of
there's
the
a
time.
church right
There's a
there, but
church, but
there's a Catholic church there, but at least they don't blast music, or maybe
we're
they
super
do,
high up in
and
a
they just
tower
don't
though
hear
too.
us, the loud blasting of music or whatever. So that's a blessing.
Here's from Colin Hall. I'm the lucky one. It's 4:05 p.m. Well, I'm glad that we could make this convenient for you to tune in, Colin.
Yeah.
He says, Imabelle, you speak English like a native speaker. Did you live in the United States for a while? You get this question a
I
lot.
know that's a common question I get. Thank you, Colin Hall. I did not live in the United States at all, and I'm looking forward to doing that in the future with God's grace. Actually, I mentioned this in one of our previous live streams. I was the first question that Deal or No Deal staff, like the producer and all the other staff, when I picked them up at the airport and they came to the Philippines for Deal or No Deal around the world episode that was taped in the Philippines. We were talking while waiting for their van to pick us up. One asked me like, "How long have you lived here?" And I was like, I actually lived here since I was born. And that was really a compliment. That's so heartwarming to hear that kind of that comment that you just said. Thank you.
Uh, Huvis says, hello from Thailand. Well, Sawadee.
Cool. You
Uh,
know that, huh?
Eagleman93 says, is buying meat from outside vendor safe? I actually have a video about
Oh
this.
yeah.
The title of the video, and you can look this up on YouTube, it's called Be Careful Eating in the Philippines, I believe is the title. Be Careful Eating in the Philippines. And it shows a local market that we went to that's completely filthy and disgusting. Some people got angry at me for showing that, but I gave other suggestions as where to get food from. It also kind of keep in mind it depends on the market. The problem is there's no health code here, standards. So in meat shops, they have flies all over it. They have
Hmm.
dirty stray cats in there, like next to the meat. It's very unhygienic in many of them. So, but it does depend on the market. But check out that video. That video's for you.
Actually, Kaizen Michael answered
Hi from the
Eagleman
Philippines. Oh,
93's
did he?
question. Yeah.
I haven't. I got to scroll down.
Yeah, even Chuck found reacted to that. It's good. You guys get to talk to each other as well, and you get more information aside from what we are discussing here and
Generally,
sharing
the
with you.
standards are pretty low here for that kind of thing in terms of cleanliness and hygienity.
A typical market here would just be it's open. It's not like in an air conditioned supermarket, and they don't really put ice or anything like that. They're just lying there, and you'd see flies
It can be,
hover
yeah.
around and all
Watch
that.
that video. We give
So
you a small
you
sample
just
of how
you
disgusting
really
it
just
can
have to
be.
be careful. It's better if you really want to go to a market because in the provinces that's very common, that kind of market. So if you know someone who is a vendor, maybe it's better so you really know where the meat is coming from if it's really safe. But of course, you can't really expect everyone to have the same health standards as yours. So just be extra careful.
Let's see here. Colin Hall is from England.
Oh
Well,
wow!
very cool.
We just had a guest from England that
She does tours
I manage his
professionally.
executive tour.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she toured a guy around from England,
and he had a
right
great time
outside
in
of
the
London.
Philippines.
He had a great time in
Yeah.
the Philippines. I have a lot of viewers, it seems, from England. I haven't been there yet, but I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind visiting.
Yeah, that would be great. Hugo is
It's
also
funny.
in the room. Hi, Hugo.
It's funny because in that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2, they used the word Anglo once, and Imabelle asked me, "What does the word Anglo mean?"
Because
And I'm
I
like,
saw that Anglo-Saxon,
well, they
Anglo.
said like for the ancestry of the one guy, I think yours would be Anglo, they said. And she asked me what that meant, and I said, I believe it means has something to do with English people, people from England. So I looked it up, and sure enough, it has people, English people are called Anglo or Anglo-Saxon. But in the United States, they use it said that they usually often non-Hispanic whites are referred to as Anglo. However, I read that if people, many white people that are not of English ancestry, do not like to be called Anglo, in particular the Irish, and now they said the Germans,
What is that?
German Americans. I don't know. That's a good question. Why would that
You
make
know
you
what?
angry? Like, hey man, I'm not
When
Anglo.
I
Like,
was in grade school, we had all these books. I think it's the library at the school where my mom teaches. They had a lot of books that they considered obsolete, and they just had to throw them away. So instead of throwing them straight to the garbage, they opted to, give the books to the teachers who wanted them. And Mama brought a bunch of books. A lot of them, like I saw some American civilization books, some English books, and all that. And then one book which I was trying to read because I mean, like I didn't really speak English that well yet, but I tried to read some, and I was like, "What's Anglo-Saxon?" I kept like saying, "This word is not so. It sounds weird to me. Like, why do they have to say Anglo-Saxon?" And then through all these years, I think that was brought up in our history classes in college, but I think I wasn't there. I didn't listen,
Well,
so I wasn't. I don't really. I just remember the word, and so I asked.
I believe originally the Anglo-Saxons were Germanic tribal people that went over to Britain and they conquered Britain, England, and all that. And now then those people became known as Anglo-Saxons. Or I mean Anglos, not Anglo-Saxons were from Germany. Anglos, I think.
But
I could be a little off
that's
on
not
this.
related to Anglican or something. That's another
I
thing.
think it might be
Okay.
somehow.
Well, anyways, for you
And
guys
Saxon is a place
who are
over there.
history enthusiasts or like like history experts, you can share some about these things that we're talking about. But yeah.
But
Anyways,
so don't call me Anglo, man. I don't know. Like, I don't think I would be offended if someone called me
why would
Anglo.
that be offensive?
I am an English-speaking American, so there you go, English.
Yeah.
Let's
So
see.
Chuck fan is from USA, and let's see. Okay, where is it now? Did
What
I just
did I
move?
lose something? Okay,
There you go. So, oh, we have something. Here's an interesting comment from
okay.
John W. Hi, Travis and Imabelle. My Filipino wife and I are huge fans of your channel. Wow. Thank you so
A
much.
big thank you for that, John.
Hope you and your Filipino darling, your Filipino wife, are doing great. Are you in the Philippines or outside the Philippines right now? Thank you for joining us. And Nathan Washington. Hello, Travis and Imabelle. How's it going? Maybe you were not able to start from the beginning because we shared what we have been doing this week, because he taped a TV show. That was really exciting.
Master Joey says, hi from New York City. Thank you very
Hi
much.
there.
SWAT 513, are you guys in the Philippines, Rin?
What?
I think he said, are you in the Philippines,
RN?
Rin? Like Rin, also, are you also in the
Okay.
Philippines?
That was like abbreviated.
Yeah, I think so. Either that or he's an RN nurse
Registered nurse.
and want to let us know.
Well,
No, I
the
think he
answer
meant, are
is
you in the
yes.
Philippines, Rin? Yeah, it's in the title and the description of the video. So, yes, at the moment we are in the Philippines. But if you're not watching this live and you're watching the recording, maybe we're not in the Philippines anymore. So,
Here, there's a question for you, Travis, from Nathan Washington. Travis, if you were to be the president of the United States, how would you like to run it in your own way?
oh boy, that's a loaded question. I'll
First
tell
of all,
I'll tell you the thing, and I think this is going to make a lot of you guys happy, but it's the sensible thing, and I've been saying this actually for years because I've been friends with many immigrants in the United States
from different countries.
from different countries all over the world, but and it made me see like the plight of the immigrant and how much hassle and just nonsense they have to go through when they're immigrating legally. So I think the simple solution, and Trump actually kind of alluded to this in a way in one of the debates that I was watching, basically is what I would want to do in terms of immigration. I would want to make it easier for people to immigrate legally and make it harder for people to immigrate illegally.
Of course.
Instead, our government does the exact opposite. They make things easy for people doing it illegally,
Uh-huh.
and they make it really hard and expensive and inconvenient for people that are trying to do things the right way. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah,
And Trump said, actually, in one of the debates at least, he said he would try and speed up the immigration process.
which would be a good thing.
Now, that being said, I might be a little bit more selective depending who you let in, especially in this day and age.
Mm-hmm.
Some sort of general screening process. Of course, that would be considered politically incorrect, but you know what's important, keeping your own people safe to the best of your abilities, even if maybe some slip ups. That's my philosophy. But basically, I'd work on immigration, and the general idea would be to make it easier for people trying to immigrate legally, make it harder for people immigrating illegally, and immigration, since it's been a hot topic, a hot button topic this past year. People think, oh, all these people hate immigrants and they hate illegals and stuff. Well, I think what those people that make those arguments are missing out on, most people don't hate immigrants. People don't hate illegal immigrants the way it is, but they're trying to do what's best for the country, and we don't want criminals coming in to our country committing crimes or just getting away with things that regular law abiding people couldn't get away with. I once told that story about that illegal alien that hit me, that ran into me, and the cop said there's nothing they could do since they're illegal and they didn't even have a driver's license and insurance. And I thought, geez, if I hit someone with my car and I didn't have a license or insurance, would the cop just let me go? Probably not. They'd say, oh, we got to put you in jail. You got to pay some fines. So
So it's like they're exempted from the law.
and of course, many illegal aliens, they're not bad. They're not bad people. Some of them are good people, and they're only doing what the United States government is allowing them to get away with. So in a way, you can't blame people for doing these people that are doing it illegally. But for what's best for the country, you got to try and clamp down on it, I think.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's not as complicated or difficult of an issue, I think, as these politicians make it out to be. Like I said, I just put a very simplistic philosophy out there. If you can work on the specifics with that goal in mind, make it easier for people immigrating legally, make it harder for those immigrating illegally, I think you'd come up with some good stuff.
Yeah.
So how does Hugo from Canada? I know he's from Canada because he often tunes in. He said, "Did you practice the Simbangabi?"
We
We kind
actually
of answered
answered that
that.
earlier.
No,
No.
we practiced spirit cooking
What?
with John Podesta. We were doing some spirit cooking, so we don't have time for Simbangabi when we got to do hashtag spirit cooking.
Stop it. Anyways, let me see.
And play dominoes on pasta with cheese. Play dominoes on pizza with cheese pasta. And we got to fly in a lot of hot dogs into
You
Chicago.
might be confusing some of our
Oh, that's in the WikiLeaks in case you didn't
yeah.
read.
Anyways, DJ Illusion. What's the best island in the Philippines to go for vacation? Merry Christmas, Rob.
Well, that all depends on what you want and what your personality's like.
Yeah.
If you like to party, if you're like a young person that likes to party and go to clubs and stuff, there's Metro Manila. Most places are great. If you're young, good looking, and full of energy, the world is your oyster. Where isn't a good place to be really on this earth? But Metro Manila is full of that kind of stuff. Metro Manila is really where the excitement of the
But Metro
Philippines is.
Manila consists of Makati City, Taguig City, where BGC Bonifacio Global City is, Quezon City, Manila, the city itself, Parañaque City, Pasay City, and many more. So if you want more like a highly urbanized, place,
Also, Cebu
fast paced
is
and
good
stuff.
too.
But if you want, yeah, that
Boracay, if you like to party,
clubbing,
that's all there
party,
really.
if you want to party at the same time, still go to the beach and do that, go swimming or just go on a nature trip and all that. Cebu, Davao, those would be good. In Boracay, they do a lot of partying there,
If
but
you're an older person, I get asked about Boracay all the time, and it will be fun or miserable depending what kind of person you are. If you're young and like to party and drink and stuff, Boracay is probably for you. If you're into just nature, it's not for you.
if
If you're
you
an older
want,
person
yeah,
that's not into
if
that,
you just
it's
want
not for you.
something peaceful where you
You'll
can
hate
really
it.
relax
You'll hate it if you're the
and
wrong type of person, if
you
you don't
know
have the personality for that type of scene and vibe. You're going to be a bunch of people. It's like being on spring break there all the time. It's literally maybe not quite as wild as some of those spring breaks, but it's kind of like a spring break vibe all the time of young people just getting drunk all the time and partying. That's why I'm not real crazy personally about Boracay, and it's also a tourist trap. It's very touristy. It's not like anything like the rest of the Philippines. So generally, I say pass, unless all you like to do is go to the beach and get drunk and party in bars with a bunch
It
of other
really
people.
depends on what you specifically want to do, because there are many things, fun things to do here. There are many fun places to visit. So,
Also, I guess I should note that I haven't actually been to Boracay for 10 years. But when I went there, I didn't pay for anything. I went for free and stayed in nice places and ate in nice restaurants for
Palawan would
free.
also be
So I
good.
was very
Puerto
lucky.
Princesa.
So it
Yeah.
all depends on your personality, what's going to be best for you. It's a very individual thing. And
Yeah.
she does these tours and she has to tailor them to the individual person depending on what they like and what their personality is like. Everyone
Yeah.
should be different depending on what they want to do.
Right. I mean, because how would you enjoy your vacation if it's something that you're not really into? Because you have options, so you have options
Can you get
on what you
the
could do. Plus, you are in a limited time. You can't be on a vacation for a year or something.
she's
I
just
was just
gonna
gonna get the
she's
charger.
just gonna get the charger. We're getting a low battery warning here. But I'll answer some more questions. Frosty the Snowman says, that's his screen name. He says, "Beautiful sunny day here in San Francisco. I am heading to I'm heading to UFC Fight Night Sacramento. Uriah Faber's
Wow.
retirement fight. I actually did not realize that that was today. I knew it was coming up, but I don't generally like the smaller fighters, the lighter weight classes, but I've been a Uriah Faber fan since before he was in the UFC, back in the days when he was the dominant champion in the WEC before they got absorbed by the UFC. So I'm a big Uriah Faber fan myself.
So
Love that guy. This is
he's
his last
retiring.
fight. It's his last
You should
fight.
watch that then.
So I'll definitely be rooting for him. I can't even remember
Who
who
is
he's
he
fighting though. I
fighting?
can't remember who he's fighting though.
Is he a, he's also like a champion and all that?
He's from Sacramento, so
Yeah,
he's
I mean
fighting as a.
the
I don't know who
opponent.
he's fighting. I have no idea actually.
Well, thank you for bringing that up then.
Frosty the Snowman also says, "Do the kids come to your house singing Christmas
Like
songs?"
caroling.
We
Yes,
live in a
they do that, but we don't
not
get,
where we live.
not where we live. But when we go to the province, we experience that.
I'm now like excluded from everyone. I live up in a tower high up, and I mean, you guys have
But
seen some of the area where I live, where I'm in the pool and those types of things. In some of my more recent videos.
that it's when I was a kid, I was in high school. When I was a kid, I was in high school. And I was in college. I got to experience that. We went around
Mm.
to sing, uh, do some Christmas caroling, and it's always fun to receive the money from all the houses we go to. And we used to do that, say, for example, if we're raising funds for something like a class or school party, or like to do some outreach activities, to share, to give gifts to, say, for example, street children and all that. It's always fun. But what's funny is kids, they usually go around, say they sing at your house tonight, and then tomorrow they'll go back to your house. So if you could try to remember their faces, so you could say, oh, you already came here. And don't you can go to other houses. But on Christmas Day, children, like in the province, is what I grew up with, they actually do what you do on Halloween, trick or treat. They go to the houses, and say for example, in our house, they come to our house, and then we have candies and chocolates or anything, stuff like that that's ready to give away. So we do that.
Master Joey says, "Does Imabelle cook?" That's what he wants
What do
to know.
you think?
We've talked about this a lot in our live streams, and there's that stereotype about Filipinas that they're good cooks. That doesn't really apply to Imabelle. She's not into cooking, uh, but that's okay to me because I like to eat out all the time. And I cook. She does cook sometimes. I'm pretty simple too. I'm a picky eater, but the dishes I eat are generally extremely simple. So she does cook a little bit these days now, or I cook these, a little bit, maybe make some hamburgers or something like that. But most of the time, I like to eat out. I've lived like living in LA by myself for so many years on my own. I got used to eating out all the time. That's kind of I take pleasure in that.
But I
So
would love to cook for you and for our family. It's just that Travis prefers to eat out. Like, I would always tell him, let's just have some, let's try to stock or keep a lot of food in the fridge so we don't have to go out. He would still prefer to go out and eat. So, okay, fine, you know,
it's
because
fun.
it's
Yeah. Or we
actually,
order in. We just order
yeah,
delivery.
yeah, because it's also helpful that we don't need to cook or we don't cook because we get to spend our time for other things productively. So that's another factor.
Steve Dornbos says, "Good afternoon.
Hi,
Thanks, Steve.
Steve. Steve is part of our Patreon family. Nice
We
to
met up
hear
with
from
him.
you.
I think we have a video with him, don't we?"
Yeah, so Steve and his wife. Hope you guys are doing great. How's your Christmas? How is it going there?
And Chuck found he says, "I like the mountains, so I hope to visit Baguio." Well, Chuck, let me ask you this: did you watch my all my videos from Baguio? I have five. We did a series of five videos in Baguio, and if you haven't seen them, there's a playlist on my channel that makes it easy to find. I think that's one of the most fun things we did.
Right. Summer. That was last
The
summer.
first time I was in Baguio, I didn't really like it, but that was way back in 2003. I decided to give it another chance, and we documented it for you.
Yeah.
Evan Cortez, my longest viewer on this channel. Seriously, he's been watching this channel consistently longer than anyone else. Evan says he was just in the UK. You will love it there, Travis.
Oh wow, I should. So you vlog it? I should check out your videos then. If you were in the UK, I should check it out.
I believe Evan also went to the same university as you, Imabelle.
We're Tomasians. We're from the
UST.
University of Santo Tomas. Tomasino
Which is like the
ako.
second to oldest university in Asia, I believe.
Second, what's the first?
There's one in Cebu, I believe, that's older.
San Jose. Anyways,
I don't remember the name, but supposedly
but
there's some
we
debate about it. There's a little bit
no,
of
but this
debate
is
about it.
called because like for our letterhead on the USC, the
They
Royal.
fight
Well, they
over
don't
which
say the
is the
oldest.
oldest.
Yeah, but it's called the Royal
But
Pontifical University of Philippines.
I believe there's one in Cebu that they claim is actually older, and
Doesn't
that's the
matter.
oldest in all of Asia.
Still
They
good. It's
claim.
still a great university.
John Smith says, Travis, have you noticed any improvements in standards of all varieties, medical care, pollution, non-corruption, education, in the years you've been in the Philippines? Uh,
Corruption has gone worse.
corrupt.
And
No, I wouldn't say
no,
it's gotten worse.
pollution. Pollution, not corruption.
No, it's always been bad. When something's terrible, it's hard to notice if it gets any worse when it's as bad as it is. But I've talked about this like
I think pollution got worse.
I talked about this with, say, my friend Kevin. We were talking about this one time. Thailand, which is a country that's similar to the Philippines in a lot of ways, over the past 10 years or so, you can see the improvements in Thailand. Whereas in the Philippines, you see improvements, but not a lot of improvements at a very very slow rate. It's like Thailand, it's like, oh, they're really come up and coming in a way. It seems like Korea, from what I hear, South Korea was basically a third world country in the 1980s, but it's like now look at them, they're all futuristic, and they dominate in the Olympics. They're like in the top four for most medals or
We're talking
something in
about
the Olympics.
China,
South
Korea.
Korea. So I mean, and to go from
They're
the
really highly,
1980s,
highly motivated to do that, like to excel in everything. Yeah, and that's
that's a
rooted.
short period of
That's
time to
that's
make that much
that's
advancement.
actually deeply rooted from their past, their history. They really strive to be the best in whatever
And
field.
here in the
They're
Philip
not that complacent,
here
you
in the
know.
Philippines, they have TV channels that show old Filipino movies, and sometimes I flip through them, and they'll show a movie from the 70s or the 80s, a Filipino movie from the 70s or 80s, and you look at it, and it looks nice, it looks clean, it looks modern for that time period, and you're like, man, what happened to this place? How did this place go from looking good just in the 1980s to looking terrible? Like I'm like, so like, boy, they really let this place go. Like, I'm like, is it just where they shot these scenes in the movie, or was the country actually a lot cleaner and nicer? And it looked actually modern for that time period.
Hmm.
So, and it's kind of crazy to see it now. And then Korea in the 1980s supposedly was basically a third world country, and now they're just, it's such an amazing place, and the people are
Exactly.
excelling there. A lot of
Hmm.
smart people in
And
Korea,
even
though.
their cuisine is just, everywhere in the Philippines, Metro Manila, even in the provinces, even in Cebu, just in that area where J Park, Water Park and Resort is, it's all Korean shops, Korean restaurants, Korean everything. So, that's how influential they have become. And it's cool that it started with like their Korean Korean soap operas. That's something that Filipinos, went crazy about, are still crazy about. And I think that was a step. That was
Here,
an effective
Here's
step.
a good comment, and it kind of relates. It's from Hugo. He says, "Your president, you mean Donald Trump, my
I think
president?"
here, no,
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 I'm
in
just,
the
I'm just joking. I'm
Philippines.
just joking. Of course, he means Duterte.
Okay.
He says, "Your president," meaning Duterte. I don't know that I would call him my president. Maybe your president,
Uh-huh.
but that's
He meant
semat.
Philippine
That's
president.
semantics. We know what he meant. He said, "Your president," meaning President Duterte, says they will upgrade the bandwidth of internet for the next years, and he read this in the newspaper, and he says, hope this will happen. I noticed for the first time yesterday in the area where we live, Globe was, and I don't like Globe, such a piece of crap company, Globe. Uh, if there's anyone from Globe working Globe, you're terrible. You need to get with the times and treat your customers like human beings instead of like garbage. We used to be Globe customers, we got
Maybe
rid of
they're
them.
working on it. It's just taking a
But
long time
I saw them
to improve.
advertising up to 100 megabytes for internet speed, and that's the fastest I would have ever seen it here in the Philippines.
Mhm.
But I noticed the key words in that. It says up to 100 megabytes. That's
So
how they get you.
the
They always
question
do
is,
that.
what is the lowest, or what's the
It's probably like
slowest?
a half.
What's the minimum?
It's probably like a half a
Because
megabyte.
that would catch your attention. Wow, that that fast, but up to. So the question is, what's the minimum? What could be the slowest? That's the question that I
It's all in
usually
those
ask them.
words up to.
That's
That's how. Yeah,
marketing,
well, that's how they.
but that's
That's their
actually
little like
also
clause of
like
like. Well, we never actually said you're going
that's
to
also
get that. We said you're going
deception.
to get. You can get up to that at certain times,
Yeah.
but
And how
it never
often do
really
you get that?
happens. Yeah.
John W. answered my question. He and his wife live in Seattle, Washington, right? Or WA. I'm trying to recall my abbreviation, my knowledge of the abbreviations of the states of America. Anyways, um,
Let me see. I
he's
saw what
eating some
here. Here's
crackers.
from John W. as well. What are your favorite provinces, and would the two of you ever consider moving from Manila? Yes, we are considering moving from Manila
So province?
to the United States of America, to another country.
Well, I
Uh,
thought it's connected to the first part of the question.
but seriously, to answer his question, as a little bit of a joke, half joke. But to answer your question, what are my favorite provinces? There's a lot that I like. It's a little hard to name. I love Metro Manila, and I like where Imabelle is from originally, but that's really pretty much mostly because you're from there, and I
Hmm.
go there all the time with you. And I've actually stayed there longer term. I stayed there for over a couple months,
That
anyways.
was the longest so far among your
Yeah, I stayed in your
trips
home.
there.
I stayed when I first got here, not when I first got here, but when I came back on this long stretch. I stayed in your hometown for 2 months on another island in the province.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to get to Metro Manila, though.
Yeah.
Even though I love staying with you and your family, of course, but I had things to do in life.
Well, I felt that way
Not all
too
of them got done,
when I was
unfortunately.
when I was still working full time um, for ABS-CBN, a TV station here in the Philippines. Whenever I went to the province for for vacation, after like a few days, I already feel bored and like I feel like I want something fast. I want to do something, but it's really nice to be there to unwind, to relax, and to spend time with family. Those are the important things. But
Exactly.
but when I stayed there for a longer time, that's when I started hosting the radio show, hosting events, and doing all these projects. That was fun because I was really busy. The one factor that you have to work on, I think, is just to be busy and do a lot of things. So you don't feel like you don't get bored, especially with the pace, the slow pace it could get when you live in the province.
I'm going to get a drink, but you can entertain these people because this is a
Entertain, am I
question.
gonna jump?
This is a question for you, not for me, and I think it's a good question from Frosty the Snowman.
Frosty the Snowman. Why do you name yourself Frosty the Snowman? Because of the song? Because
He's
of
in the Christmas
Christmas?
spirit.
Yeah, but it's cool, huh? Speaking of Frosty the Snowman, now I just remembered one memory of one high school, no grade school memory. For Christmas, we had to dance. We had to dance in a school Christmas program, and we danced to that song, Frosty the Snowman. That was cute. Anyways, this question is addressed to me from Frosty the Snowman. Is it hard to be married to a good looking foreigner? Do a lot of ladies try to flirt with your man that looks like you can handle it well? Your man, again? Okay, hold on. Do a lot of ladies try to flirt with your man that looks like you can handle it well? I think those are two different sentences, right? Anyways, it well, it is not hard to be married to a good-looking foreigner, non-Filipino like Travis. I think if you are not, modesty aside, because I've learned this from experience, we get wiser through the years and we get wiser through the experiences we have. It is important to be more open-minded, to be more understanding, to not to be very jealous. It's important to be more trusting of your partner.
I don't
And
think that's what the question is.
no, I know, but that these things would help you handle being married or having perhaps for those who have good-looking boyfriend or good-looking spouses. And it's true. Many ladies, many girls, Filipinos try to flirt with him. And one thing that I always tell him, I don't care whatever they do to flirt with you or to try to catch your attention. What I care about is how you respond to that.
Oh, like I
Yeah.
would ever do anything
I
like that.
know.
And I say that in all seriousness. I joke around a lot, but I would really do anything
I know
inappropriate.
that. I know that. But here's the thing.
Now, did I do things that like when years ago, but back then it was appropriate maybe. So
No, I'm not trying to say something bad about you, but I'm just sharing what I do, what I tell you, right? So, I am a Filipina and I'm thankful to, I am blessed being a Filipina, even if the Philippines is not perfect and, I'm not perfect as a Filipina, but sad to say, sad to say, I feel embarrassed whenever I see Filipinas who cannot even be discreet in their, gestures and how they behave, because they're so flirtatious. Like, say for example, I think I talked about this in one of my videos. So that was a very short
You did
video.
actually, yeah,
That
on
was a
your
very
channel.
short video on my YouTube channel, but that was just an example. That this is like this used to be a more common experience that I have, where for example Travis and I are walking, and then I'd see Filipinos or girls looking at him, and the way they look at him is like, hello, do you see that he's with someone? Can you try to be discreet?
You can't
Because
blame them for wanting to look
I
at this
know.
hunk of
No.
man,
I'm just trying to say.
Imabelle.
I'm just trying to say is you're a woman. As a woman, you should behave appropriately. If you are attracted to someone, or if you're like so, I don't know, if you find someone cute, handsome, gorgeous, whatever, or hot, and you see the person is with someone that is obviously either, for example, a girlfriend or a wife, why would you act that way? Why do you look that way? You're also a woman. Come on. It's like that just show. It's like a question. I'm questioning their values. I'm not perfect, but can you try to be discreet? You know what I mean? And some people would really flirt not only with their looks, but with how with I mean verbally. They would really shout and be flirtatious, you know. And that doesn't only happen with me actually. So sad, but that's true. Yeah. And also,
I think I should kind of explain real quick if someone's not been to this country and doesn't know what it's like. That might sound a little wild, but girls here they're very straightforward. It's not like in America where they're very
you're
different.
generally speaking,
Yeah,
but not
in general terms,
everyone.
obviously, yeah. But go ahead,
Yeah.
continue.
And another question that I get um, is, do I get jealous because Travis is an actor and I manage his acting, modeling, video projects because we work
And
together?
I sometimes I do love scenes
Yes, like intimate, stuff like that, sweet, you know, lovey-dovey stuff. And they asked me, do you get
and more
jealous?
and
Do
more.
you? They would ask me,
Have
do
you
you?
seen the most popular video on this channel? My God, YouTube age restricted it because it's too much,
Mm,
apparently.
yeah, they asked me if I get jealous. I'd say no, because that's this part of the job. But I remember. I don't know if you guys know TV, Philippine TV, but Tito Boy. I call him Tito Boy because I work with him, and he's really very nice. He's our Ninong.
Boyabunda.
He's our Ninong, Boy Abunda. I remember I was still working full time in the TV station, ABS-CBN, and at the same time I was managing Travis on the side. And I went to his dressing room to bring something like a token of thanks, like a gift. And then he really had to ask me, like, "Are you and Travis an item?" And there were other people there, but during that time I wasn't really telling everyone that we were together, because here's what I told Tito Boy when he asked, "Are you guys an item?" I said, "Tito Boy, I'm selling Travis," and they all laughed like, "Okay, fine, you know that you're managing him." Because I mean, like, I would want the viewers, especially the ladies or the girls, to think that he's single and all that. That was like in 2006. So it's the job. So, and I trust Travis. We trust each other. That's very important. Daniel Ekagrin, I hope I pronounced your name right. Do you know how much a male model makes in the Philippines? Can they make a living from it?
Of
You should
course I
answer
know
that.
how. Of course I know how much. I mean, obviously it ranges from person to person. Of course I know how much, you know. And can you make a living from it? Yes,
It,
definitely.
it depends on the kind of projects that you do, and it depends on the frequency, I think.
Well, yeah, it depends on how often you work, what kinds of
It
jobs,
really
but
varies. It
yeah,
really varies.
you can definitely make a decent living from it here. Now, are you going to be rich? At least what I think of as rich is people that have like millions of American dollars. No, not to that level, but that's nowhere in the world almost unless you're, say, a supermodel, and there's only like a select few of those in the world, like a handful, and very few. There's hardly any. I don't even know if there's any. There's hardly any male supermodels. Back in the 90s, they had some male supermodels. It's pretty much all the supermodels are female. And my friend Lance Raimundo, last time we were with him, he was talking about this. Now, models, they don't even necessarily need to go through like a modeling agency. They're Instagram models. That's the big thing, being an
They don't
Instagram model.
have to go through VTR.
And you can probably even possibly make a better living doing that. For one thing, you probably in some ways maybe your expenses are less because you don't have to drive around going to castings all over town. But I just joined Instagram myself fairly recently. At least I started using it fairly recently.
Well, you're
So
trying. Go ahead.
you can check me out on Instagram. I've been posting quite a bit lately, and I do the Instagram stories. And oh, I just looked in 18 new people following me. Not from this
Cool.
broadcast yet,
Hold on
but
while we're trying to pull that up. Steve Dornbush said Seoul is one of the best cities on earth. That is why I would really love to visit Seoul.
I've been there. Yes,
South
I would
Korea.
agree.
Yeah.
So just to I'll hold it up to the camera. It's Travis Craft official. You'll see, that's my Instagram if you're looking at the camera. So check me out there. It's different stuff than what I'm posting on YouTube, obviously, because it's mostly for photos. You can post videos up to a minute, but on days that I don't vlog, which is a lot lately, there's a lot of days when I do the Instagram stories. So if you're an Instagrammer, you can check me out on Instagram and see what I'm doing there. After YouTube, Instagram is the thing I use the most these days.
Right.
In some ways I use it more than YouTube actually.
Yeah.
So, but Instagram models, so when I was at the height of my modeling career, that wasn't even really a thing. I remember when I was starting out, all the models, me included, it was very important to have what's called tear sheets. And that's literally refers to you get published in a magazine, your photo, and then you tear it out of the magazine and you put it in your portfolio. It's called a tear, they call it a tear sheet. But everyone wanted to be in the magazines, myself included. And then I started getting in these magazines, just when I started getting in magazines, a few years later, like it seemed like it was more important in a way to be featured on a big blog on the internet. So I saw how things changed because when I started out, things were definitely much more traditional, and now they're off in a whole other area. And it's like you don't even necessarily have to be in New York or LA or Paris or anything. You can live anywhere in the world, and if you have that Instagram following, you can get some good deals and sponsorships, or people pay you to model there, whatever. And then you do the photos yourself or have a friend do it, post it on Instagram, and you don't have to go through all that hassle of going to all these castings and these cattle calls where you show up and there's like hundreds
And
of
of
other
course,
guys there
that
trying to get the same thing as you.
not to mention having a good portfolio with great photos. So you'll have to have a photographer do that for you. It's either you pay them or if you could do it an X deal, like an exchange deal, that would be good. By the way, Chuck Found said, "Well, I have to run. Nice to see you both. Take care and have a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you as
I haven't
well."
really told modeling stories much on here, but interesting enough, those Zoolander movies, especially like maybe the first one,
I'll be back.
I'll say that they're actually pretty accurate in a lot of ways. I wasn't a high fashion model. I was more of, though I had been in some high fashion magazines like Harper's Bazaar. That's, of course, a very high end fashion magazine.
Cosmopolitan.
Cosmopolitan. Cosmopolitan's not a fashion magazine, though.
Yeah, but
Uh, But yeah, I wasn't really a fashion model. Those are more like skinny, young, boyish looking types. So I did a lot of catalog stuff, a lot of commercial stuff. That's more what I did as the guy in all the catalogs and stuff like that. But I haven't really told stories about that. Some of my
You were
stories
not
might.
vlogging them.
I wasn't vlogging it either. Some of my stories are fun, some of them are funny, some of them are maybe even a little dark. Maybe not as dark as Pizzagate, though, which Imabelle didn't want me to bring up tonight. Uh, I'm trying not to be controversial tonight.
That was discussed already in the past two live streams.
So, but yeah, I have a lot of modeling stories, and I actually tell them pretty frequently to Imabelle just in our private conversations or just friends in private conversations. I haven't really told many of them publicly, but maybe now that he's asking about it, maybe I should start like during these live streams, tell some of those stories. Some of them are funny, some of them are interesting, some of them are weird, some of them might be a little dark.
Daniel Eckergren, are you a model? Do you do modeling projects as well? I'm just curious. Oh, he asked you, how tall are you, Travis?
I don't know right now. It's been,
6'2".
yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah.
Did you hear about what happened here in Washington D.C.? Oh, he's gonna get me started on this.
Go ahead.
Don't even get me started on that. For one thing, most people don't necessarily even believe that story about the Pizzagate guy that showed up. Also, I got some new information today related to that. On talk about fake news on Megan. This is factual. On Megan Kelly's show, I think it aired last night on Fox News Channel. They were talking about that guy that brought a gun to Comet Ping Pong, but there's another guy that apparently he's a popular guy on Twitter or something. He once went to Comet Ping Pong and tried to periscope it just to show what it looks like on the inside. But on Fox News, on Megyn Kelly's show, they showed his picture and they had graphics that called him like the Pizzagate gunman or the Comet Ping Pong gunman. So basically, boy, they really should be sued for that because now all these people that were watching the show, they're gonna see him and they're gonna think he's the guy, and it seems almost like they did it intentionally. So, but the guy that brought a gun, I don't want to talk about Pizzagate too much. Imabelle doesn't want me to be controversial, but it's a very weird story. He could be a concerned citizen that went there to check things out and going about things in a wrong way. He could be a little bit concerned and also maybe a little bit crazy and mentally. The bottom line is or as many people believe, it's a false flag where they sent someone there intentionally to make themselves look like a victim and also put out a story and say, see all these people talking about Pizzagate and spreading this fake news about this pizza restaurant. See, look at the damage it's doing. You guys got to denounce this, and you got to quit talking about this. I kind of feel like, and I don't know the answer to this, of course, but I kind of feel like the latter is the case, where it was like an inside job. Now, do I know that?
Scripted?
Yeah. Do I know that? Of course not. He could just be a guy that's a little bit mentally ill that read some of this stuff on the internet. And do I get into some of the crazier theories about what's going on? And it's not just about those pizza restaurants. There's two over there, Comet Ping Pong and Besta Pizza. And Besta Pizza actually had like a pedophile symbol in the logo of their restaurant, which they since changed. And I think they painted over the walls of the inside of Comet Ping Pong where they had the weird paintings on the walls.
Hmm.
But I the bottom line is no one knows except for John Podesta and maybe James Alefantis. No one knows, and they're implicated, of course. That's how they know. They're the ones doing it, taking part in all this, but no one knows what's actually going on in there. That's why people are all they can do is theorize. We know that at best case scenario, these people are extremely weird and creepy Now, that's not a crime to be weird and creepy, but there's a lot of evidence that shows how weird and creepy they are. It could lead to a bigger thing, and I've noticed a lot of similarities with with the case of Jared Fogle from Subway, the guy that's now in jail, the pedophile that's now in jail. There's so much similarities to his case with this. Also, there was supposedly this happened in the 1980s and was covered up. It's called the Franklin scandal or the Franklin cover up from the 1980s. They even don't even get me started, man. But yeah, I don't necessarily, I wouldn't put too much stock into that story about the guy that brought a gun there. It seems like they're just looking for sympathy, according to me. You know, obviously, the people that are trying to uncover the truth of this, they don't encourage that. For one thing, that would just completely mess up the whole investigation that netizens are trying to do. But we don't know what's going on one way or another. Best case scenario, these guys, best case scenario, Hillary Clinton's cohorts are just extremely weird and creepy. Worst case scenario, they rape and murder children. And I think the truth is probably somewhere in the middle.
It's just very important to be extra cautious and to be extra, just be more discerning of things, I guess. And of course, pray, 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 and just, stay strong in our faith.
But I'll tell you
Um,
this, if you start doing independent research of your own and using your own brain and you research Pizzagate, it will open your eyes, I think, to some things that are possible in this world that you didn't think are possible. Not even they're necessarily happening the way you think they're happening, but are just a possibility. And boy, it can you'll see some disturbing stuff and it'll open your mind that there's disturbing things in this world. And that doesn't mean that you necessarily think that they're raping children in the basement of Comet Ping Pong. Most of these people trying to find out what's going on don't really think that's what's literally going on. Those are some of the more extreme people out there that believe some of that stuff. But I think that there's a lot of evidence, and it may only be circumstantial evidence, because obviously, if you read the WikiLeaks emails, they're talking about pizza. Oh, I found a handkerchief with a map on it that looks pizza related. So, of course, they're speaking in code. Now, is that code about, is it really the same code that they use on the dark web that pedophiles use when they talk about pizza? It kind of seems to be so. Some people theorize they could be talking about drugs. I don't think that really makes sense, but they're obviously speaking in code. But maybe we should just listen to Hillary Clinton and it's all Vladimir Putin's fault.
what?
No, that's not it's not their fault that they're corrupt. It's their fault that it was exposed and we need a fall guy. Let's blame it on this guy. Which I may be not a lover of Vladimir Putin. I don't know a lot about him that much one way or another. Although it kind of I don't think the general public in America is falling for it that we're supposed to be afraid of Russia and hate Vladimir Putin. I was thinking about this. Look at who the Democrats aligned with. Lena Dunham. And they're trying to scare you by saying that the Donald Trump is aligned with Vladimir Putin. I feel like most Americans would rather be associated with Vladimir Putin than Lena Dunham if they were given the choice. I mean, it's like, who would you want representing you, Vladimir Putin or Lena Dunham? Most average Americans would want nothing to do with Lena Dunham. And then these Democrats, too, they wonder why people in rural areas and middle America won't vote for them. Look at who their spokesman is, Lena Dunham. They associated themselves with Lena Dunham and made her like an official spokesperson of the Democratic Party. What do you expect? And some of these people, these Hollywood celebrities, they're so out of touch with reality and their own importance in this world. Like that new joke of a PSA with Martin Sheen, where he has all these other people that are supposedly celebrities, though you probably don't recognize anyone else in the video that's not Martin Sheen telling the pleading with the electors not to vote for Donald Trump. They don't understand how pompous this makes them look and just how it makes people lose respect for him. SPI Latino says this is so unrelated to this channel. Why are we talking about this? It's not unrelated at all to this channel. It's related because you're on the Travis Kraft channel, and this is what Travis Kraft likes to talk about. I like to ponder the deep things that are going on in this world and keep an open mind. I don't know what you think this channel is about, but the name of the channel is Travis Kraft. Therefore, it's about Travis Kraft, and this definitely relates to me.
Well,
And
thank you for joining us, SPI Latino.
and even though I wasn't supposed to talk about this subject matter because we've covered it a few times, and it can get really dark when you start to talk about some of this stuff, I thank you, Evan Cortez, for for keeping the conversation going, and I appreciate your support throughout the years. I think he's been watching me probably for at least 7 years now on YouTube.
Yeah.
I think.
And he knows everything, most of the videos that we've been making on the channel since then. Yeah. And actually, SPA Latino, the videos on the channel are made to entertain, inspire, and inform. And it's not only limited to giving out information about the Philippines. It's actually about anything in life because every day we get questions about different subjects. And personally, with Pizzagate, I think it's something that every single human being should be aware of. Personally, I think that way. If you have a different opinion, I would respect that. But just just being aware of things like this would make us more cautious about life, about everything around us, especially with our children. Whether it's true or not, it's just a very, very good. It's an important reminder for us to be extra cautious and extra discerning. You
Evan
know.
says Lena Dunham said she would move to Canada if Trump became president, but so far she hasn't. Yeah, there was a ton of celebrities. Lena Dunham is one of many. Amy Schumer. The list goes on and on. None of them left. It's also funny how they say they will move to Canada, a white majority country. What's wrong with Mexico? Now, what are they, racist? Hey, I moved to another country myself, and guess what? It's a country that has very few people of my race here. So obviously, I'm not a racist, but people like Lena Dunham are the racists. They're the real racists. But it's kind of funny too because it seems like she's having a mental breakdown. She had this video she posted on Twitter on the toilet. It's not the first time she's posted a disgusting photo either, but it seems like she's having a mental breakdown. Also, if you look at Amy Schumer's Instagram and stuff, like it seems like she's having a weird breakdown. And I don't follow these people, but since they said they're going to move, it's kind of fun to go to their pages and read the comments of people telling them to leave the United States. It's actually hilarious. It's if you're bored and you need some entertainment, why turn on the boob tube when you can go read the comments on Lena Dunham and Amy Schumer's social media accounts? So, SPI Latino says, don't take it the wrong way or because he loves my channel. I was just curious. I don't know what you think. Well, I appreciate you clarifying that. I don't know what you think this channel is about. It's really just I started this channel. It's just a personal channel that I started about me and things I want to do. So I try and mostly keep it about things I want to do. And Imabelle did not want me to talk about this. I was going to try and keep it a little bit more lighthearted and Christmas themed, and
Well, it was
definitely,
brought up, so that's fine. I mean, it's
yeah.
not like we just
Blame
started.
Evan for bringing it up and getting me worked up and going.
This was
It's all
already.
your fault,
This is
Evan.
actually we actually talked about it in the two previous live streams, I think. But let me read another comment from Eagleman 93, have you been to the waterfall restaurant? So how is it? I think it's Villa Escudero. That's an area that we have not been to yet. We have actually we went to that area, but not in Villa Escudero itself. So one of these days, who knows, we can go there and check it out and share the experience with you. So you could answer your question, Eagleman
And
93.
Chris Smith says, "Hello from Michigan.
Hi there.
Where in Michigan are you living?" Like Imabelle mentioned earlier, we've been watching the Tim Allen show, Last Man Standing. I binge watched it, but we've also been watching reruns of Home Improvement. And then Home Improvement, they keep saying he lives in Detroit, but obviously, if you look at his house and his neighbor and stuff, it's clearly not within Detroit. Then I saw in another episode they said they're in the suburbs. They didn't say where though, but they never mention that, and that's intentional, I'm sure. But maybe he likes the show Home Improvement because it's supposed to take place in Michigan, in metropolitan Detroit.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm curious as to where Chris is in Michigan. Maybe I
hello,
would know
Race.
where
You
it is.
thank you for joining us, and we also have let's see, Smile. Was this Smile King Films? Good times. Thank you for hanging with us.
Chris says he likes the red pillow behind us. Imabelle put that up there, and I actually did not notice it until we were doing a live broadcast one evening.
Yeah,
And then I'm like, oh, there's a pillow. It says Merry Christmas. And I'm like, kind of like that, even though generally I don't get into Christmas. But this year is different, I've declared. I'm going full out Christmas spirit this year, and I'm making the most. Life is short, my friends. We got to enjoy these things. Things like Christmas, Halloween, all this stuff. It's meant to be enjoyed. That's why we do it. So yeah, instead of being the Scrooge that I normally am, I'm going with the Christmas spirit this year. That's my vow. And I'm serious. I'm totally serious. I'm a
yeah.
Christmassy guy now. At least this year, and we'll see how it goes
Hence the
after we
pillow
make it.
behind us. Well, Merry Christmas to all of you. I prefer saying Merry Christmas than Happy Holidays, even
But
if
here,
it's a long holiday.
even here in the Philippines, all the signs say Happy Holidays, and like I went
Well,
into a
it's an
mall.
influence of the Western
We walked into a mall
hemisphere.
tonight, and the guard said to me, "Happy Holidays." The security guard, like they pat you down. He said, "Happy Holidays," and I'm like, "It's Merry Christmas now." I was like, "Happy Holidays." It's like just like being in America here now in terms of. And I never minded Happy Holidays because to me it always meant like, especially if you're saying it in November, it's all of Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and now like Happy Holidays. There's still a couple major holidays coming up. So I never took it as they're trying to destroy Christmas. So I was never really offended by that. But now that I found out that people hate say they always avoid Christmas and like hate mentioning it, now I want there to be Merry Christmas. I want Merry Christmas,
Well,
and
in the
just
first
because
place,
it seems to upset weird
personally,
people.
the reason why people are celebrating this holiday season, is because of Christmas. I mean, Christmas is all
It's
about
because of
it's
Yule.
it's celebrating the birth of Jesus, our
No,
Lord and Savior.
it's about the Yule tide season. And just the other day, I found out what Yule is. It's just like Christmas, and instead of Santa Claus, you have Odin, and he was like one of the original versions of Santa Claus, the god Odin. And Odin would like fly around and like put like gifts. They would leave the boots, instead of stockings like we have,
Hmm.
they'd put their boots outside the house, and Odin would come by and put like presents in them or something. The god of Odin, the
Hmm.
Nordic god of Odin.
Hmm. Well, they say that the if the time Jesus was born, that event did not really happen in the around this time, but I think it's the Catholic Church, if I correct me if I'm wrong, that made that just decided to celebrate Jesus' birth on around this time of the year. So it's the
Well, you
Christmas
can
time.
celebrate Jesus' birth, and I'll celebrate the god of Odin. I'm
What?
joking. And I only found out what this is like
Um,
literally like 2 days ago. And I'm like, oh, so that's what that is? And even Imabelle was like, oh, like, yeah, because you always hear Yule Tide,
well,
but I had
yeah.
no idea what that meant. I don't think hardly anyone in the world actually knows what that
I
meant.
didn't really care about checking why it's called Yuletide season, but I just
I
knew
saw a
it's
video
Christmas.
explaining the whole thing that Christmas comes from European cultures and traditions, but originally these things had nothing to do with Jesus. Kind of like on Easter, the Easter bunny. Like I always wondered, why is a bunny like give us candy and stuff on
Easter is
Easter?
about
Like
the
it's
resurrection
like
of Jesus.
I kind of have a video about that, an older video about that. It's kind of silly, but because in America it's associated with bunnies, and I'm like, what's bunnies have to do with Jesus? I
Yeah.
never understood what the connection is. It relates to like old European stuff before Jesus.
hmm Christmas answered your question. He's from Grand Rapids, and he said a lot of snow here too.
I've never been there to Grand Rapids. That's on the other end of the state from where I lived. I lived in Ypsilanti, of course, which is Grand Rapids. When they show Michigan, they show you that the what
Nothing.
when they show Michigan, they make it like this. The hand they'll be like, okay, and Ann Arbor's here, and Port
Show it to
Huron's
them.
there, and Saginow's like over here, wherever. I guess I should look at the camera pulled out. So they do this for the state, and then they have an Upper Peninsula because Michigan's a weird state that there's two parts of the state of Michigan. They're separated and they don't even touch each other. For the other map, you go like this. That's the Upper Peninsula, where they have Iron Mountain or whatever it is. Hardly anything's up there. It's like mountains and stuff and cold. But like Michigan, regular Michigan's here. That's what when people think of Michigan, they think of all this. But hardly anyone even remembers or knows that there's what's called the Upper Peninsula, and it doesn't touch. It's like they really should be two separate states, be, or except the Upper Peninsula probably wouldn't have enough people really to necessitate a state of its own. But and they're almost like they're really like two separate places, separate cultures almost, I think, especially when you talk about Southeast Michigan where Detroit and Ann Arbor are located, where it's, completely Michigan's known as a blue state, but I think it's only a blue state because of Southeast Michigan, because of Detroit and Ann Arbor. And I remember when I lived out there, the mayor of Detroit, Kwame Kilpatrick, he acted like a gang member, and the last I heard is he ended up in jail. And he was the mayor of Detroit, a full out like he was like a gangster guy. He went to jail for, I believe, corruption. I could be a little bit wrong, but I think he went to jail for some sort of corruption. But before I left Michigan too, they legalized gambling in Detroit because they were losing a lot of business because across the river in Canada, in Windsor, Ontario, they had legal gambling, so everyone would go to the casinos over there, and they realized, man, we're missing out on tons of business. So they legalized gambling and they opened up all these casinos. Like they had an MGM Grand that opened up, they had all these other big casinos, and that was just coming about like right before I left Michigan. So, but and apparently it didn't work because you hear about how crappy and hard hit by the economy Detroit is, and like how it's becoming like a ghost town and stuff. So apparently they were saying, this is it. Detroit's finally going to pull out of it, and Detroit's actually going to get nice." And that never happened. Apparently, it only got worse. So apparently, the casinos did not was not the shot in the arm that Detroit needed to revitalize. I actually thought it could have been a turning point. I don't gamble myself, but those things bring in tourism. They bring in a lot of money. Uh, but they were saying Detroit's going to be the new Las Vegas. But it's kind of like, give me
What
a
year was
break.
that?
Oh, this is quite a while ago. This is 2000, it was 2000s, but more in the earlier, a little bit more in the earlier part of the 2000s. Uh, but yeah, that never happened. And I was kind of thinking, well, it could revitalize it, but they had hopes that it was going to be the new Las Vegas. But it's like, come on, part of the glorification of Las Vegas, I think, is they have generally a lot warmer weather than many parts of the country.
Hmm.
Detroit is still a pretty cold place much of the year. So you're not going to compete with a place like Las Vegas that's a much warmer place in the wintertime compared to Detroit in the wintertime.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us, AI Privilege. And Chris Ray said, "Wow, I finally catch the chat live. Great to join in. Thank you for joining us as well." That's from Chris Ray. And here, Evan Cortez who said, "LOL, so you got a visit from the three ghosts of Christmas."
Uh, yeah, maybe. I think he's referencing A
Yes,
Christmas
that's
Carol,
true.
which I exposed you to, but and there's so many different versions of that, so many different wonderful versions. But maybe I just kind of had an epiphany of some sort that realized now is the time to start celebrating Christmas.
Good.
So I'm going to give it a try and try and put on a good attitude. In life, my friends, attitude is everything. So
Right.
I'm going to go into it with a good attitude. And I just like to have fun in life, anyways.
Well, we gotta be thankful and celebrate the blessings we have. Whether whatever circumstance we are facing, good or bad, positive or negative, let's just stay grateful. We should have a grateful heart no matter what happens. And
Evan Cortez says, I saw this movie once where they were threatening the guy to talk and they were going to torture him and kept saying, and he kept saying, I'll never talk no matter how much you torture me. But then they said, take him to Detroit. And he was like, no, not Detroit. I'll talk, not Detroit. The movie he's talking about is a movie that most people actually probably wouldn't know, but that movie's called Kentucky Fried, the movie.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
We watched that, remember? We watched that
I'm
fairly
trying to
recently.
recall. Which one is
It's
this?
Kentucky Fried the movie. I think it maybe I think it might predate. It's from the 70s. I think it might predate Saturday Night Live, or it's around that time when Saturday Night Live was getting going. It's a movie, but it's kind of a series of sketches. But the main one is a parody of Enter the Dragon. And it's actually a pretty clever, pretty well done parody movie. And but that was a scene in that part where they were doing the Enter the Dragon parody. But that the movie is actually it sucks, it's garbage, except for that one part where they do and that but at least that's the main part of the movie where they do the parody of Enter the Dragon. Because it's just like Enter the Dragon 2, only comedy. You know they're doing a silly version of it.
Yeah, Donald Dog. Hi, that's what he said. Thank you for joining the live stream.
They
And
even got me talking about Kentucky Fried the movie on this. That's an
yeah.
obscure reference.
Yeah.
I mean, how many people would like know what that is? But it's Kentucky
It's
Fried the
because of you,
movie.
Evan Cortez. Anyways, Zach Jukic. Is that Zero Coke? Is that Coke Zero? Yeah.
I guess.
Someone said Smile King Films Cola Zero Epic. Yeah.
They were
Um.
just showing on TV. The TV's turned on now that we have TV again. They were just showing some movie on TV. It's an old movie. It just ended. It's an old movie starring John Malkovich. I think it was called Making Mr. Right. And he had this weird John Malkovich had this weird long blonde hair because now he's normally known for being bald. But that just ended, and now the movie Blue Velvet came on. That's seriously that's what came on TV. It's just their opening credits of Blue Velvet. The uh, the movie it's a weird movie with Dennis Hopper. I forget the name of the guy that directed. I think that guy that did Eraserhead. They'll show his name. I forget his name offhand. But Blue Velvet, seriously just came on TV. What channel is it on? It's on AMC. So You don't know what this movie is. I
I
guarantee
haven't
Imabelle
seen it.
doesn't know what this movie is. What I was a psychology major in college, and they showed us this one really like creepy David Lynch. It's made by David Lynch. But in one of my psychology classes in college, they showed us this scene from the movie that was really creepy and weird. I thought, oh man, that's pretty trippy. And then I went out and I rented the movie, and the rest of the
Hmm.
movie sucked. I thought I only liked that one weird scene that was in the that was in that they showed in my psychology. It was a weird
You told me
sexual
that.
scene.
Yeah, yeah,
They'll probably censor it though on here because this is AMC.
yeah.
There, Chris Ray mentioned David Lynch of Twin Peaks fame. That is correct. And Kenny Rain says, "Have you seen the movie Metro Manila?" No, I have not seen the movie, but I hear it's good. But even though it's probably good, I probably wouldn't be that interested in it because I can see the Philippines anytime I want. Just I don't really want to look at it on a screen. I see it with my own two eyes all the time. So if I'm going to watch a movie or a TV show, I'd probably want to watch something a little bit different. The kind of thing that I don't necessarily see in real life all day. Not, and I'm not talking about. Evan says I remember. He mainly remembers Isabel Rossellini's topless scene. That might have been the scene. It's where she catches the guy, the young guy, in the closet, and she threatens him with a knife, and then some weird things
Hmm.
ensue that they'll probably have to edit out of this since it's airing on AMC, like basic cable. But been a long time since I saw that. That was way back in college. So, but this is not the kind of movie that Imabelle would like either. Imabelle
Yeah,
wants to watch what's that company? Pure Flix is the company.
yeah.
She likes to watch those movies. So I think Blue Velvet is pretty far outside of that, especially when Evan's mentioning
I
like topless scenes and stuff, and they were showing beetles or something close up or cockroaches.
watch other movies, but personally, I would love to watch, just a lot of few flicks.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh she likes God's Not Dead, and she likes those Brian Bosworth Christian movies.
Right.
So yeah, Brian
I
Bosworth
would
has a
love
lot
to
of
work for
Christian
Pureflix, and I would work for like the production of those movies as well.
because you'd be working on something you really believe on and believe in
Yeah.
the message they're trying to send, which I think is important because when you work in show business and even though you work behind the camera, I'm sure you've experienced this. A lot of the times you have to end up, especially early in your career, of course, as with anyone in any kind of career, you have to work on a lot of things that you're not personally necessarily into so much.
Hmm.
And you work on things often even that you don't even like. So, but yep, that's what's on Blue Velvet. AMC seems to be a decent channel, but I don't like watching movies that are edited or censored. We were watching this movie last night before I went to bed. It's called Boys Night Out. It's from 1962. It stars James Gardner and Tony Randall. And it was made in 1962, but it was a very sexual movie. But because of the era it was made in, they had to like make it play out in a very wholesome way. So, but it's kind of interesting that in that era they made movies about sex,
Hmm.
but they were very like G-rated, and there's nothing remotely offensive in them at all. They're like the most wholesome sex films that you'll ever see. But I think that having those kinds of restrictions, it forced them to get more creative. Whereas now there'd just be a lot of filthy language and just blatant nudity, and they try and be as gratuitous as they could without getting an NC-17 rating. And it's kind of hard now too because how can maybe mainstream movies are going to have to go back to that being more creative instead of just showing nudity and stuff, because everyone has access to practically all the pornography ever created in the world just in their pocket and touch of a button on their cell phone. So it's not really hard to see those kinds of things anymore. You don't got to go to the movie theater and pay whatever movies in America cost these days, whatever it costs to go to the theater in the US. So, but we've been going on this for a while. So, thank you guys for spending time. This is our last broadcast of probably even the year.
We'll see. Maybe we could try to do another live stream before New Year or after New Year. But yeah, it might be the last before 2016 ends. And 2016 has really been a very fruitful year, a happy one. And of course, you are a big part of that because you have been watching the videos and we've been receiving a lot of heartwarming comments and feedback from you guys. And we just are so inspired with the support we get from you.
So, thank you guys. Imabelle needs to go to sleep. She didn't get a lot of sleep last night either. And she was saying it was going to be hard to live stream, but she did it just for you guys, even though she hasn't had enough sleep. So hopefully you guys appreciate Imabelle's effort. And me, I'm just having fun hanging out with you guys, trying to give you guys some stimulating talk. And it's fun to engage with you guys live on a different level like this. Even if you're just watching the recording, I think I kind of feel like live streams are my favorite thing to do on YouTube in a
Mm.
way, because like I said, I've always been a fan of talk radio, and this is like having my own talk radio show. One of my goals for the near future is to get a better microphone.
Right.
I need to get a better microphone for these so the audio quality is better, and I need to get some new SD cards. I have a lot of Christmas gifts for myself, but they're actually for you. Things that I need to buy myself so they can benefit you. And that's things like I want to get some memory cards, 64, larger memory cards. I think would be beneficial to us. I know I want a new camera. Um, yeah, I want to get a Canon G7X, and there's some other stuff I need. Like I said, a microphone for these live streams is one of my top priorities. So,
Yeah, and speaking of that, of course, our Patreon family would like to say thank you to you guys again. And if you want to be part of our Patreon family, go ahead. You can pull up the link patreon.com/craft. And thank you so much for all the questions. Thank you so much for all the comments that you shared with us. And if you were not able to say hi to you in particular, like say your name specifically, sorry, but yeah, we just have to also get some sleep. Like what Travis said, I'm really tired.
and
I
she has to
only
be up early in the
Yeah,
morning.
I got like only 4 hours of sleep, I think, and I have to be up early again. Edward Lass, who just joined us right now, thank you. And if you were not able to watch from the beginning of this live stream, feel free to watch the recording. Hopefully the recording
Mhm.
is complete so you don't miss out on that. So thank you so much. Merry Christmas to
All
all of
right.
you.
Have a
God
Merry
bless.
Christmas. We'll have some new videos before then. Definitely, we're gonna have a lot of good stuff before Christmas coming
Stay
for you.
tuned for the
Stay
videos.
tuned. Lots of good stuff, but this is probably our last live stream. We might be joining you live next in the new year, but regardless, we'll have vlogs and that kind of the more usual content. So, thanks for joining us, everyone. Bye, guys.